I was a Washington Center intern many, many years ago. I didn't have space like this at all. In fact, when I walked in here, I couldn't even believe it. But we were in a building way down on 16th Street where they housed everybody. It was probably a group of about 40 people, but it really, this place is quite special. So, before we begin, could we all just clap together and congratulate everybody for graduating today? That'll come on in a minute, but today I just want to share with you my thoughts for making your way in the professional world. All of you in this room today are way ahead of the game when you are ready to pursue full-time professional employment. You're going to have a leg up on your fellow graduates because you have this Washington experience. I'm going to admit to you today, I personally would never look at a resume or a hire in my organization now if that person doesn't have some sort of internship experience. We get thousands, in fact this summer we got 1,000 resumes just to be an intern, so we allowed people that chance, but if I look for a full-time staff member, you have to have that sort of experience. This is the new world, and what you did here this summer is going to make you more competitive with those that didn't go through this summer internship experience. There's just way too few jobs out there and too many people that are applying for these jobs. So just in case you didn't know who else made the same decision as you, when you took the time to decide to come to Washington and be an intern, I just wanted to quickly let you see. If we go, Bill Gates, he was a congressional page. Anderson Cooper was a CIA intern. You're in very good company, everybody. Patrick Ewing, he interned for the Senate Finance Committee. Brian Williams was in Jimmy Carter's administration. You can clap if you Spielberg was Universal Studios. He was an intern there. Conan O'Brien was a congressional intern. Dick Cheney was a congressional intern. Robert Gibbs was a congressional intern. Roger Goodell, NFL intern. So this is all to say you're already ahead of the game. You're starting off on the right foot, but this is just the start. There's more to do to make your way towards making an impact in the world. You need to be prepared to build a new kind of muscle. Most of you know what a muscle is. There's many kinds of muscles you build in your life: physical, academic, social. But this summer, you started the process of building your professional muscle. This muscle is not built in college. In fact, I don't even think it's talked about in college. The only way you can start to build it is doing what you did, humbly interning in an organization where you operate as the low man on the totem pole. Most of you didn't have glamorous or substantive projects, but don't discount for a second what you learned and acquired during your weeks here as you observed an office at work. So what I'm going to ask you to do is try to remember 3 questions and take the time before you leave DC this week to answer them and reflect on them. And here they are. Who in the organization did you identify with and admire, and why? Did this internship experience make you more interested in leading an organization in the future or more suited for following good leaders? Do you prefer an active or a quiet work environment? If you take the time to reflect on your experience and answer these questions, you will gain valuable insight into what gives you happiness that is essential, because locating your passion for work is important. These answers will help you build the foundation for your growing professional muscle. Your job was not to change the world this summer. Your job was to start the process of thinking through who you are, who you admire and want to model and learn from. So let me tell you some of the important qualities of the muscle. And feel free, jot them down, because it'll come to you in the weeks before you start school again, and you'll want to be thinking about it. Something I call opportunistic creativity, fortitude, humility, expertise, collaboration, can-do spirit. So I'm going to take a moment and explain some of these qualities. Hopefully you'll make a note, jot it somewhere. And to understand all of these qualities together, that is the secret for success. Opportunistic creativity If you possess this quality, you are always looking for valuable and unique opportunities an organization can implement to be more effective. In addition, you take the initiative to figure out how you can help execute on them. I've done it many times in my career, but one example is from the 1992 Clinton campaign. I understood the potential need early, before the November election, of having a plan in place for an inaugural. And I was working as the Mid-Atlantic Finance Director at the time, and I was one of the few people based in Washington. Most of the people were in Little Rock, and so they couldn't access the needed information. Believe it or not, those days, we didn't have Google, so if you needed information, you had to go to the source. So I presented to Rahm Emanuel at the time, who was my boss, that I sent a team, I lived in Washington, to the National Archives and research all there was to know about producing an inaugural. Well, 3 months later, and after many late nights of intense research and trying hard to remain under the radar so that we weren't discovered for counting our chickens before they hatched, we presented this. This was something I created. It was called the Presidential Inaugural Fact Book. I shipped it off to Little Rock, and basically that became the outline and the framework for producing the inaugural. Well, it was useful, needed, and under my leadership, my team was the first. We got the keys to the Presidential Inaugural Headquarters. I got the position I wanted as the finance director, and it's all history. But that is opportunistic creativity. Fortitude. Nothing's easy. To create success, you need to always go the extra mile, and most importantly, stick with it. Even when people doubt you, question you, and dismiss you, no one, no matter the project, reaches a goal without this quality. Every professional success I've ever had in my life, I had to deal with naysayers. I remember one vivid example. Again, it was Bill Clinton's 1992 campaign. And after being hired to be the Mid-Atlantic Finance Director, they gave me a goal in 6 weeks to raise $50,000 from the Washington, D.C. area. No one knew, believe it or not, no one knew Bill Clinton there. No one was paying attention to the presidential race. I was very young. And there was one man around the effort that started telling folks that I was in over my head and I couldn't get the job done. When I heard that, it only made me more motivated, more committed, and I totally dug in. Came into the office 7 days a week. From 7 to 10, I never took a break from calling. We didn't really have internet. I was on the phone every single minute. I was persuading folks to give to an unknown governor from Arkansas. And at the end of 6 weeks, I had raised $170,000. That man never questioned me again. That took fortitude. Humility. You need to know what you don't know. And without humility, you'll never know. Faking it only gets you so far because ultimately you're always found out. They say in Washington, if you really want to get something done, don't care who gets the credit. No labels couldn't have gotten as far as it is without me personally possessing humility. That means the humility to know what I can do and what I can't do. I don't possess all the skill sets I needed to have to move the ball down the field. Humility has meant that at the start of the concept, I brought in a group of people to co-lead the organization with me who had messaging, communications, political, and policy skills. None of us can do it all, especially in the political field. Without some degree of humility in politics, victory is difficult. Expertise. You need to give thought to what will be your unique expertise, and it takes years and years to develop and master. Everyone is expendable, but you are less expendable if you have your own skill set. Ultimately, you want to be branded and known as a person with your own unique expertise. My expertise in politics has been fundraising. After graduating college, I went to work for a United States Senator as his receptionist, and after about 6 months on the job, I asked to be moved into the fundraising department. And from that day forward, I stayed with fundraising because of that, I was able to raise millions of dollars to start No Labels. And the fact was, I knew my trade, was well regarded in the field, and had decades of history with people that were willing to give to political projects. These years of building a specific niche also meant I didn't dilute my skills or my contacts along the way. I only enhanced them. I'm a firm believer that no matter whatever it is, you must build a niche and an expertise, become known for it, and then be in a position to create possibilities. Collaboration. Nothing big in life happens without working with others. If you want to be involved in big ideas, you need people to help execute. The Lone Ranger approach is never a ticket to success. I've enlisted a dozen or more people to help build and own No Labels with me. Often they're the ones who do the TV or the speeches on behalf of the organization. They give their expertise and advice, which is very useful. By collaborating together, we are all able to make our concept so much more successful. Finally, the can-do spirit. It is imperative that no matter what you do when you leave here, to have the can-do attitude. Nothing infuriates an employer more than an employee with a whiny, negative, and defensive attitude. The positive, energetic, make-it-happen person will always get to the top of any organization, guaranteed. I've had a saying my entire career, which is make it happen. There is no room for impossible or not practical. All things can be built and achieved, and without a can-do spirit, I could have given up easily. So today you're graduating as a Washington Center intern. You've been exposed to a lot this summer. To get the most out of the experience and lay the foundation for building your professional muscle, I'm encouraging you to go through a reflective exercise before you move on. Please think about the internship experience and ask yourself the 3 questions I mentioned. In addition, start giving thought to the 6 values I presented. Write them down somewhere so you can make note and remember what to aspire towards. Finally, I'm going to take a little bit of my own advice and I'm going to indulge in my creative, opportunistic side. We did start a group. It's called No Labels, Republican, Democrat, Independent. I will be doing a major event, Lincoln Center, New York City, 1,000 citizens with many notables. You are all invited to attend. I think we have a great student rate. Sasha is one of our interns this summer. Go to the website before you leave here. It's also a way for us to stay in touch. Young people, that is the engine of this. Also, we'll be working with Washington Center, which is how the world goes if anybody is interested in telling friends. NoLabels.org, sign up, stay in touch. And if any of you have these values that I talked about, if you think you are on top of your game, be in touch with me personally because I want to meet you and we'd love to figure out a way to get you working with No Labels. Thank you very much and good luck.